Hello, everyone, and welcome to Voice Like a Lion podcast. Today, I have with us Caleb Majors. He is the co-founder and CEO of Brothers Nuts. Brothers Nuts exclusively offers 100% USDA certified organic snacks that are all sprouted, consistently achieving six-figure annual revenues, being in over 300 retail locations. 300, that's quite a few. And more importantly, they are evolving the way people snack. Caleb, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. Glad to be on.
So my first question, what does sprouted mean for all of us all the people who are not educated in this way?
It's okay. It's okay. There's a lot of people that don't know what it means. And one of the funny things is we're looking at all the data, all the spins data right now, and it's grown. People are looking for more sprouted products, over 34% month over month. It's just growing. So we're very excited about that because we've been doing this for a while now. But what sprouted is if you think about any nutter seed, right? Almonds, pecans, sunflower seeds, whatever you can think of. A lot of people have, it's hard on the digestive system, right? Nuts are so great for you, high in healthy fats. It's so much more, depending on each nut and seed are a little different. But the only bad thing is it's hard on the digestive system. That's why a lot of people, they are allergic to nuts. They can't eat nuts. They don't feel the best after. And so what sprouted does is we soak them in water, pink Himalayan sea salt, in there for a certain period of time. And what that does is it extracts, it's a bad enzyme, a defense mechanism, and just makes it easier to digest, easier to break down, more nutrient absorbent, and tastes better. Like our almonds, we have people try them. They're like, wow, I've never tasted an almond like this. We're like, that's because they're sprouted.
Dude, that's sick. I love almonds. I actually have grown up pretty much eating almonds, at least over the last decade. And I've never heard of that except for like what you're talking about with the defense mechanism. That all makes sense to me. We're talking about gut health and everything else. That all tracks for me. So the fact that I could go eat y'all's almonds and be good to go with digestion is amazing.
That's what we hear all the time. We've had people that actually cannot eat almonds, for example. They're like, I just don't do them anymore. I don't feel the best after I eat them. We're like, okay, that's fine. But they're like, I got to try yours. We're like, it's up to you. If you're not allergic, but you just don't feel great after, totally, up to you. And they do it. And we receive emails afterwards and they're like, I had no issues. Like I felt great after. And we're like, huh, that just kind of shows that power of the sprouting process and what it does for, the nut itself and how it changes it when we're eating it.
So you started this at 14. Tell us about that. Why at 14 years old did you decide to start and not only start a business, but to start changing a movement around how people snack?
Yeah. So I can tell you growing up, from 1 year old to 13 and a half years old, we did not imagine growing up, starting a nut, and seed company or a healthy snack company.
Yeah.
But it really came down to we had to. It wasn't out of a want. It was a necessity. Our story is why we started it. My brother and I was 14 when we initially started. He was 12, and we started because our dad diagnosed stage 4 full myeloma cancer, spread to the brain. Given 7 weeks to live, doctor said, "Good luck. There's not much we can do here," and give him 7 weeks. That's it. And I was 13 at the time. And so, no, sorry, that was initially that was in 2010. So I was 8 at the time. And so that 7 weeks the doctors gave him initially turned into 7 years. And a big part of that was the diet, the lifestyle, the health, all these decisions we decided to make. We just took our life to that next level in every area. And so when we did that, one of the things we did, our mom started making these healthy snacks in the kitchen because we had to eat all organic, easy in the digestive system, clean ingredients. And so our mom started making the crackled cheesy almonds, what we call it now, in the kitchen at our house for our dad to eat. And so when our dad went, from 7 weeks to 7 years, and so cancer came back again in 2017. And so he passed away in 2017. Me and my brother being, 13, 14 at the time, or 12 and 14 at the time, we're like, maybe there's something here. Maybe there's a business. And so we just, started selling to family and friends, local farmers market or local events here and there. And that's kind of how we started and why we got into it in the first place. It wasn't out of a want or, oh, let's do this. It was necessity that we had to.
Well, first and foremost, I'm sorry for your loss. And I can never imagine. And then also, I found that when we go through those hard times, though, just like you just said, it wasn't a want, it was a need. And that could have only have come out through hard times. So because that was how this was birthed, being 14 at the time. What was your mindset like to even to start exploring, talking to families and friends and selling it, to have the thought process of, I'm actually going to go to farmers markets and talk to people? Because I mean, that's a skill set that people your age now don't even have, and people that are my age at 31 that they don't have. So how were you able to adapt that so young?
I would say 95% of the time as a kid, when we started the business, again, it was more of a hobby, is the way I like to put it. But when we started the business, it was my mom. Me and my brother were like, we don't want to, like it was like 50-50. Like sometimes we want to work on it, sometimes we don't.
Yep.
We want to go hang out with friends. We want to do nothing. We want to do whatever. And so it was our mom really that was like, hey, let's go. We got something here. Like let's start building. Learning, gaining skills, sales skills, marketing skills, learning how to develop and grow a company. So it was a lot on my mom, I would say, that just pushed us and give us that drive and push, that extra little yelling sometimes that we needed.
Mm-hmm.
That was definitely necessary, that we deserved for sure. And then the other part was just growing up as a kid, just our parents instilling those values into us of hard work and discipline and confidence, and talking to strangers and asking for strangers. And when you go, I ordered my own food, not they didn't order my food for me. So just those basic skills that you don't think of when you're 10 years old. When it was 14, I had to talk to strangers. I had to stop someone running down the aisle at a farmer's market that didn't want to talk to us and stopping them and get them engaged to talk to us. So I would say those are two of the biggest things that helped us not be afraid and get out there when we were at those markets or just talking to strangers.
So what was the moment for you and your brother, especially, where you guys decided to go, you know what, this isn't a hobby anymore. We're going to take over the business. Mom, you go sit on the lazy boy. We got this.
Yeah. So you would think, oh, maybe, it took a year. No, it did not. It took many, many years. So we initially started the business when I was about 15. I just turned, I was 14, but my birthday just happened. So I was 15 pretty much. And so from 15, still being in middle school,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't a business, right? I was in high school now. Sorry, not middle school. My brother was in middle school. It wasn't a business, right? So from 15 years old to about 21 years old, I would say. So from 2010 to about 2021 it was a hobby. Family, friends, local markets, events, that's it. And so in 2021, I graduated high school in 2020. And so I was in college and, I had more time. I did it, online as well. So I'm like, all right, let's take the training wheels off. Let's see if it's not just a hobby and we can create this into a business. And random people and strangers will buy our products consistently. So that's what kind of in that 2021 timeframe, we're like, all right, let's start talking to some retail partners. Let's see if any stores will bring us in, give us some opportunities. Let's talk to more people. Let's get more people to try our products and then, impact more people. So I would say that it's been about 2.5 years now, really treating it like a business.
So I had somebody else, they were on the podcast last week. Their episode will air literally right before yours. It's really interesting.
Okay.
But they're doing about 7 figures every single year. They're doing a little over $1.5 million or so. And what they do, barbecue sauces and rubs. And what was interesting about them is, similarly to you guys, it's like their number one biggest constraint in the beginning was people just had to try it. It's like people have to try it. They have to understand the product. So what have you found to be one of those ways for them? I'll give you an example. It's like for them, what they did is they've just captured their local market. They're in Wisconsin and they said, you know what, we're going to go. They still do farmers markets. They still do like community barbecues. That way people can come out. They do a lot of like user generated content to show people interacting with their products. So for you guys, what have you found to be that sweet spot for you guys as far as people interacting with your product?
Yeah, I love that because very similar. We're doing, because we're based out of Chicagoland suburbs. We've started a lot, because it's easier driving 5, 10, 15 minutes than driving down to Oklahoma or Texas or Florida or California.
Yes.
It's a lot harder. And so we really, focus a lot of concentrate right here in the Midwest. And so farmers markets, especially here in Illinois, and then bringing more and more people onto the team to help with a farmer's market in Wisconsin or Indiana or Michigan. So that's some of the things we're doing, because once people try it, they're like, there's no way this is healthy for me because it tastes so good. And we're like, it's both. That's what we're all about. And so then the other thing we're doing on top of the kind of the markets and events and everything of that nature is when it comes to in-store retail is the demos. We absolutely love doing demos in all the stores. Anyone that allows us, we're usually there as often as we can be. And so we're bringing more and more people on to help on the demo side. We have 2 people in Michigan or Minnesota now, Indiana, Pennsylvania, bringing someone on in Ohio, as well as Michigan here. So just getting more people on the team to help on the demos, because once people try it, we've seen those sales just increase month over month just from the stores, because someone tries it once, buys it once, 2 weeks later when they're shopping again, they're picking up another bag. 2 weeks later, they're grabbing another bag. So those are 2 of the ways we're trying to get more people to try our products, so they get to understand what we are and who we are and what our product is.
That's really interesting, because for me, I'll give you a little bit of just context. I know that you had an opportunity to look at the LinkedIn bio, but my wife and I, we both created together. I kind of steal her success a little bit. I kind of attached myself to the first one, like the Amazon one, where she launched the e-commerce brand. That one, she did 99% of it on her own, but that one went to over $1 million within a year. Then we had a Shopify brand. I was also there for that one. I actually did a lot of stuff in this one. And that one went to over $1 million in 12 months. And so my whole story has been only in e-commerce. And even with some of the bigger clients we have, I mean, one of the bigger ones that we work with was over $35 million a year. It's like they're still predominantly online. And I've walked around Costco and Sam's, and I've seen people doing demos or different things like that. And I've always wanted to ask this question, which is, okay, you guys are doing these demos. You're giving out, let's say you're giving out the little cups that have the sprouted nuts in it, and they're able to interact with it, taste it, and then they're able to, let's say they grab bags. How do you track that? Like, how do you actually track that cost of goods, and how do you actually track the conversion rate on the demo to somebody?
It's tricky for sure. It's definitely a little tougher than running an email campaign, and you can just see exactly what sales and orders came through. So on that part, we have all our demo specialists is what we like to call them, or brand ambassadors. Whenever they go out, they'll take inventory before they start, and then they'll take inventory after. And so we can understand right in that moment how many were sold, the what flavor, what size. So that's one thing we do in the short term. And then the other thing is some stores, not all, can give you like an inventory report. So, anything that's scanned through all their, the registers or kiosks at the store, they'll have all that data. And so some stores are better than others. Some give it out, some won't. Some are just, it takes time to get a hold of them, and they're like, oh yeah, let me send it over. So, and then that inventory, you'll see exactly what's sold during that, that day you were there, or that 3 or 4 hour block period that you were demoing. So you can get the exact data as well. But sometimes it's a little trickier to get it from the stores because they got, 100 other things going on.
Yeah. Interesting. Have you guys ever done anything around where it's like, let's say I'm one of the demo specialists and I'm having the little cups, and then I'm interacting with people, and I say, hey, because you're interacting with me today, I want to give you an exclusive coupon. And you can't use it today. You can only use it on a whole different day. And then the reason why I'm saying that, it's like, because you have the direct sales. So it's like people who interact with the product they buy today. But it's like, what if you had someone where they tasted it and then they go, oh man, I really like this. And then they come back and buy again, or they come back and they buy later. It's like they come back and they buy the next day, or they buy a week from now. That would be really hard to track that it came from certain demo. But if they had an exclusive, let's say coupon or coupon code, then it would be able to tie it right back to that day that the demo specialist did whatever.
Yeah, that's there's always, you can offer like a coupon, but a lot of people, they'll use it during that demo, like when they taste it. Yeah. So you're already getting that data anyway, so it's hard to track that tail end. The only other way, I actually really like that idea. I'm making a mental note of it, for them to use a coupon in 2 weeks when they come in, so we can track that. Yeah. The other way we kind of track is just volume wise of orders being delivered to the store. And so if the store's ordering once every 6 weeks, and then all of a sudden we're getting an order every 3 weeks and 4 weeks or 2 weeks, it's like, okay, we're seeing that little pickup and increase and volume wise of deliveries of product getting delivered. So that's the other way that we're looking at it short term, to seeing, people are coming back and grabbing product because it's moving faster than it was before. But I like your idea way more. That's I'm making a note of it. I will have to figure out if that's possible. It's definitely possible. Just you got to get them to use it in 2 weeks.
Yeah. And that would be because this would be, again, this is like completely the technical side, and I don't have the answer for this. It's just a complete thought at this moment, because there's ways to activate certain codes and there's ways to deactivate certain codes. So it's like, but if you had it on an actual printout, And you could even tell them this. This is actually something you could do, especially if you had it connected in some kind of backend system where that it's like, hey, you can have a little stack and say, hey, here, take a coupon. You can try to scan it today if you want to, but it won't work. You have to come back starting tomorrow. The campaign starts. And so then it's like, okay, cool. Then they come back and they can scan it and then it works. I think that that would be fascinating because there's plenty of people. Because two things are happening. This is something that I haven't seen anyone else do, at least at Costco. Because what I would experience is if I sit there and I try something, it's like, oh man, I really like this. It's like, but I'm just not going to buy it today. But now I have a coupon, which incentivizes me to buy this thing. And
Yep.
I think that that would be, because I mean, even if you didn't find out a way to do that and people did just use the coupon same day, it still would be trackable later on down the road where if somebody used that same coupon code in a week, it's like, okay, cool. Now I know that they tried it. They just didn't use the coupon. They went and bought later. So that might be a little bit more trackable and help you kind of, figure out sales. And that probably would overall boost your average order value because maybe someone who buys one, now there's like, oh, shoot, I got a coupon. I'm going to buy two.
Yep.
So just different things.
100%. I'm making a note of it because I like that idea. Easy way to track.
So with you guys being in 300 retail locations and you also sell online, what do you see as being the big thing that will uncap growth for you guys?
It's really breaking down, right? Because each avenue is different. The retail avenue is different than our Amazon strategy, which is different than, our, online, our website strategy. So, and then events are another whole thing. And then, gift boxes and all that is another whole thing. So there's so many, different channels and avenues. So all a little different for sure. But I would say it's that brand awareness really is what it comes down to. Because if someone sees, maybe they see us online or on social media, or, they come across an article with, that we're featured in or something along those lines. Then they go to the store, a week later and they're like, oh, I've seen that before. Where's that? Where have I seen that before? It's so much easier. That trust is already built in there that we have a better chance of them picking up and purchasing other than them walking down the aisle, not knowing exactly, who we are, never heard anything about us. And they're like, I don't know if this tastes good. I've never heard about this. So I would say on that brand awareness, driving brand awareness through, the demos in stores, but then also through social, online, all the above to drive not only online traffic, but that will only not drive online traffic, but it'll drive in-store retail sales as well.
Yeah, so that reminds me a lot of two different brands. One is Smackin', and if you don't know Smackin's they're a big brand now. Smackin', so they make sunflower seeds. That's all they do. There's like flavored sunflower seeds.
Yeah.
They blew up through TikTok. Like that's how they got big in the beginning. And now I think they're a 9-figure company. Like they're pretty big. And then there's another one that is called Midday Squares, and Midday Squares is a chocolate company. They're in Costco and they do pretty well. Like they're a multi-8-figure brand. Like that's a couple of ones where that's what they did. Like they utilized everything online and they started. And even there's one guy, he used to be their CMO and he was one of the co-founders and now he's stepped down and become the CPO. Now he's like the chief people's person. And so he goes out and does all the events and everything. He'll go speak on stages and do all that. Because again, I think that when it comes to a CPG brand, so basically what you guys are, is there's a certain level of brand awareness that has to happen. And that's way different than an apparel brand. Like this is for the clients that we worked with, they're usually in apparel, jewelry, some CPG, but the ones that are not CPG, it's like, okay, you just push for conversions. It's you sit there and you're just driving everything for people to buy. And could you do something similar? Sure. But again, there's like this stigma around, well, I don't know this food brand. Why would I buy this? And I think it's like, how do you overcome that? And this was the question that I asked the last gentleman, Greg, who was on the show. Is the same question I ask you is, so you have these demo specialists. That's a great way for people to experience it in person. But I'm down here in Oklahoma and there's no demo specialist. So if I went to your website or I found you on social media, what is one thing that you see that could give me the experience as if I'm experiencing a demo without being able to taste it, smell it, but it's like, oh, such and such just tasted it, smelled it, and they loved it. What is something that you guys are doing to basically translate the in-person experience online?
Yeah, that is something we need to get better at for sure. Of course, we can always get better, but that's one of the goals this year, put a lot more emphasis on is portraying, building that story, right? Building that story brand. It's easier when you're face to face with someone, but it's definitely harder when you're, on a screen and it's, just a video for, thousands of people to see and not just, you to see. So definitely a little trickier for sure. But, one of the things we've tested is a free small bag. They just paid like, a couple bucks for shipping sent to them, completely free to them. And that's we've seen a lot of success with that because, cost him $3, not even, to purchase, or not purchase, just pay for the shipping costs. Bag's completely free, but he gets it in their hands. They get to try it, and they're like, "Oh, this actually tastes pretty good. Let me try the other 4 flavors." And so it's an easier way to get them from, not trying anything at all, not, knowing about us, to for $3, for $5, yeah, I'll try that, and then, oh, I love it, and then they fall in love with the brand and all the products. So that's one of the things we've done here that's kind of helped drove more people to try on the social side and online side.
I like that a lot. Yeah, because I mean, if you and I were talking, I'm just like, here, drink this.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't think that that's quite possible yet. We're not there
good.
yet.
Tastes good.
But yeah, I think that right there is a perfect example to me, because I mean, being in not only the e-com industry for the last 7 years, that's kind of crazy, but also just helping out in different industries. One of the things that is kind of atypical for e-commerce brands and even retail brands is doing something free plus shipping. So and usually that's not on a website. It's more of like a funnel sequence where there's a landing page and, hey, free plus shipping. And it's like, hey, you can get this thing for free. You just got to cover the $3 cost. And what's cool, the ones who do it well are the ones who that's actually your cost. There's times where it's like, hey, get my book today, free plus shipping. It's like $24 for me to get a book. I'm positive the shipping does not cost me $24. Yeah. And the best ones that I've seen, there's a brand who did it. Jim Reaper is their name, and they did it really, really well. So for me, I love working out. That's how they got me. It's like they had lifting straps and they said, hey, free plus shipping. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. And then the shipping was like $8. And so I went and looked on their website, and the straps were $20. And I went, oh, wow, this is actually free plus shipping. And so then I bought it. Then they had an upsell to a belt, and their lifting belt was $100. And I was like, hey, I need a new lifting belt. So then I bought that. And then they downsold me into a shirt. I was like, I don't need the shirt. But I thought that was like especially because of how you guys are doing it. If once you build enough brand awareness, like Jim Reaper had started getting decent size on social media, then they launched that kind of campaign. What was fascinating about it was because if you have people who are already sprouted aware, is now they come on there, they experience you, they're able to experience your products. And if they're just like, you know what, I'm willing to take a chance, I can upsell them. Like on an upsell, it's, hey, get all 4 of our flavors for a reduced cost. So if you guys had a variety pack and it cost them $50, it's like, give it to them. If cost is $20, give it to them for $30. So you're still making money, but it's better than if they saw anything online. They went to your normal website and bought it. And it's like, you know what, I'll give that a shot. It's like, I like the ranch flavor. It's like, I'll give it a shot for the cracked cheese over here. It's like, we'll do it with the original. It's like, why not? So I think that would be, because to me, that makes a lot of sense for your brand, because that's a way for them to palpably taste it, put in their hands, feel it, see how their digestion tracks, because they got it free plus shipping.
100%. It's so many different strategies, right? You can go about it, but I think it's a proven strategy because so many people do it. So I totally agree with you.
So being in 300 retail locations, I think that what was the decision when you and your brother were sitting there talking about it? What made you guys decide, hey, we're going to start pushing into retail?
We thought it might be easier than online because one order, boom, it's there. Definitely not the case. It's great. The store orders once. You need people to pick it up and try it and buy it and then continue to buy it. So it's like definitely a little off, a little naive, of course, 18 years old. Hey, send it to the store. We're good to go. We're a multi-million-dollar company. Definitely not how it works. But I would say what kind of got us into a funny, quick funny story. The first really chain that gave us a shot or an opportunity that we got in was Fresh Time Market, located up here in the Midwest, about 70 stores total with them. I reached out, cold emailed the CEO of the company. And I was like, hey, at the time, I don't know, maybe I was 19 or 20. I was still in high school. So I think it was 18 or 19. And I was like, hey, I just want to, I know you're local in the area. We appreciate, we shop at your stores all the time. I would love to, sit down with you, pick your brain, get a cup of coffee, tea, whatever you want, and just talk with you and learn, what you do and how you did it to get where you are today. And that ended up, I never met with him, but he connected us with someone else on his team, which honestly, I wasn't even reaching out to him to get into his stores. I was just reaching out to him because we were kind of in the grocery space, CPG space, the grocery space. I just want to learn more. So, but that ended, meeting with one of the VPs and a big meeting with everyone on the buyer side. And that's kind of how we initially, launched 2 stores with them. And then fast forward from 2 stores to 10, 34 stores, all 70 within about a year and a half. So that's how we got into retail initially really is we weren't really trying. We kind of just, the opportunity popped up and we're like, sure, yeah, why, let's do it. Yeah, more orders and more people trying our products. Yeah, we're in. So that's kind of how we got into retail in the first place.
So as we start coming towards the end of the podcast, sometimes I'll ask this question, sometimes I won't. And I think it's fun when I get the opportunity to ask it. What is one question you wish I would have asked you today?
Maybe if there was one thing you would have, changed during your journey, what would have that been? Maybe something along those lines.
So what would it have been?
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought you were going to come back with that. Come back with that. I would say it would be, one of the big things was kind of on the case pack architecture. So what we like to call it is, the reason why we have the size packaging we have right now, right? A 2 ounce and a 6 ounce is our main two right now. The reason we have those sizes is that was the stock bags that came from, when we initially started, from clear bags, and it was stock, and we could order, 100 or 200 at a time, and it was cheap. So we're like, yep, that's perfect size, fill it, perfect. All right, 6 ounces. That's, and then, all right, what do we sell for, X amount? We would have definitely reverse engineered that to say, all right, what do we want the final price to be? We want it to be $4.99 instead of, right now it's $5.99. We want it to be $4.99. All right, it can't be 2 ounces. It needs to be 1.5 ounces. Whatever that specific number is. So that's one of the biggest things, because now it's a little trickier. 300 stores. We're not in a crazy amount, right? And there's tens of thousands, stores out there. So we're in a very small percentage. But throughout this year, we're going to be closer to about 1,200 stores by the end of this year. That's the goal and the plan. So we're like, all right, we need, we're going to make a change. We're going to go to a 4 ounce size because we want to hit that certain price point at certain stores. And so we're just reverse engineering that now in 300 stores, which I wish we would have done when we were in, 0 stores or 5 stores. So that's, I would say, definitely one of the big things I would have changed looking back.
I'm glad that you did that, because that to me is something that most people don't talk about. I don't know if I've actually ever heard anyone talk about it, but I have seen that for myself. It's like when you were creating a product, you can't tell me you had 0 iterations, that you just got it right first try. And I mean, that's part of the journey, right? I mean, especially for you guys, that's part of the journey. And that's why I love asking that question. It's like, what do you wish I would have asked you? Because you saying that gives everyone else listening context, because I think that a lot of times there's certain things that happen where you don't realize what you don't realize until you needed to realize. It's like, oh shoot.
Yep.
It's like, oh man, I wish I would have just thought about this. It's like, but you didn't have context to think about it until you got here. But now you get to give information to everyone listening, and especially if there's someone listening who they want to get into the CPG space. It's like, I didn't even think of that. It's like, now I had to think about my case pack architecture.
Yep, it's huge. I'm telling you, it's a difference maker. It could be, putting your product, making it a success, or a failure. Because you're selling something for $49 when it should be $25. It's the same amount of product, but it's just the size of the bag. That's it. So simple changes that I could make or break you. So I would say important, that I wish I knew 2 years ago, or thought about it 2 years ago.
Caleb, thank you so much for joining me. That was a great way to close it out.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And for everyone else listening, I'll see you in the next episode.